In this video, we're going to take the data that we have just downloaded and thinned and import it into Farmworks. So first, I'm going to go and open into Farmworks. You can see I already have a project opened here. And over on the left-hand side now, I'm going to go and create a new client. I am just going to call this new client Test. And then under that, I'm going to create a new farm. And again, I'm just going to call this one Test. And then I'm going to create a new field. And I'm just going to call this field Field 1. Now once I click OK, you'll see over on the left-hand side, there is my new client and my new field. So we'll go up to the top, and then we'll click Read Job Data. You can see it's up there in the toolbar, kind of towards the right-hand side. So then a window will pop up, and on the left-hand side, you can see a few different options of places you can import data from. We are going to go ahead and select Generic Import. And now you can see there is a text file option. If you remember when we thinned the data, we made sure and saved them as a TXT file type. So we're going to select that. And over on the right hand side, we're going to click Browse. Then a window will pop up asking us where we want to find our data. So we'll go into our Lidar folder. We'll go into Test, then into Field 1, and we should see the two files that we have previously thinned in the other videos. So there they are. So we'll click Open on that folder, and then there you can see the two files. So I'll highlight the first one, go down, and select OK. Another window should pop up. We only have to change a few things on this, and I'll take you through it step by step. So first, under Coordinates, where it says System, we're going to select the drop-down menu, go down, way to the bottom, and it should say UTM. So we're going to go ahead and select that one. Then a few more windows should pop up. So we're going to click Zone, scroll all the way down until we see 15 Northern Hemisphere. We'll select that one, and then datum can stay the same. Now we'll go under File Format where it says Delimiter, and we'll click Space. Then a few more windows should pop up on the bottom. So on the first one where it says Number, we need to put in Easting. So we're going to go down to the E's. Okay, so it's not under there. So sometimes it should be under Coordinate, which doesn't always pop up. So you kind of have to scroll down to the bottom and then come back up to the top. So in this one, we need Northing. So again, you can see it's not at the top. So we'll just scroll down here a little bit. Okay, we'll scroll down and go back up. And now you can see Northing popped up. So we'll select Northing for the next one. And here we need elevation. So this one should be down in the normal menu. So we'll go down, select elevation, and then another option should come up underneath of it. We're going to change it from feet to meters. So once you have changed all of the highlighted areas, you can go up underneath File Format and you'll see a template option. So that means that we can save this template that we just created so you don't have to change all these things every time. So I'm going to click Save Template. I'm going to name this one Lidar 1 because you could see I already had one named Lidar. So we'll go ahead and click OK to save the template. So now if you go up underneath the template option, now you can see our Lidar 1 template is saved in there. So I'll go down and select OK. And now it'll ask us where we want to save this data to, like what field. So I'm going to go ahead and click that gray box, and now you can see our client tree popped up. So I'm going to go down to Test, and then open up into Field 1 and save it into there. So now we'll go ahead and click OK in this window, and sometimes it might take a little bit to process that. So once that window closes out, we'll go up and click Read Job Data again. And you'll see that we're still in the same folder, so we'll go down and select the second file that's left. So we'll click OK. And here is that same window again. So we'll go up to our template and we'll click Lidar 1. So there you can see all of the same things that we had changed before just popped up. so we don't have to do that all over again. So we'll go down and select OK. And then again, we'll have to save it into the field name. So go into there, open up into Test, and find Field 1. Select OK. And then OK one more time. So now, if you go and expand Field 1 as far as it can, you'll see the two files, Lidar 1 and Lidar 2, underneath there. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to merge them. So if you go into the Jobs tab at the top, you can see Lidar 1 and 2 are the first two files in that list. So we'll go ahead and we'll make sure and select both of them. So we'll click the top one and we'll shift and click the second one to highlight both of them. So now on the bottom right hand corner, you'll see an option that says merge. So we'll select that button, and it might take just a second, but it'll merge them as one. So now it pops up on the bottom of the list as Lidar 2, and the client and the farm and the field are all the same. So we'll select that, and to make it more organized, I'm going to go in and rename that. So right click and go to Properties. So underneath Job Name, I'm going to go ahead and rename this Test Lidar. Now I'll go down and select OK. So there you can see it renamed Test Lidar. So I'll go back and I'll select the Map tab. So now you can see under Field 1, and then you go underneath Unassigned. Now you can see Test Lidar. So I will double click on that. Might take just a little bit for the maps to pop up. Once they appear though, you will also be able to see down in the Displayed Layers window in the bottom left hand corner, they also appear. So once the maps come up, I'm going to click the Background Imagery button. This will bring up the satellite image behind the maps. Once that appears, you will now be able to see the field that I selected previously in the background. So I'm going to go down in the bottom right hand corner and you'll see the transparency bar. Now if you slide that tab across the bar, it'll fade the map in and out. Sometimes it takes just a little bit for it to catch up with itself. As it begins to fade out though, you can see that the field is much more visible now. I'm going to fade it out just a little bit more so I can still see the red and the blue, but I can also see my field. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the tiles. By shrinking them down in size, it will make them easier to process later on. So I'm going to press the button that looks like a pencil. Now I'm going to click and I'm going to drag a square over the excess amount of tile that isn't overlapping in the field. By doing this, I will be able to select all of that and then delete it. So as I let go of the mouse and it all becomes selected, I'll press the delete key on the keyboard, and then you can see it gets rid of the selected area. So I'll continue to do the same around the field, making sure not to get too close to the field that I might delete some of it. So I'll go ahead, click delete on that. Then to this last little bit right here. So I'll go and select that. And then once it's selected, I'll click delete. Okay, so now I will go up and press save and close at the top of the screen, right underneath the toolbar. Now I'm going to go and select the zoom layer tool. That'll bring me right into the field. Okay, so there you can see is my field. So now I'm going to go down to the transparency bar and drag it all the way to the left to completely hide those layers. The next step is I'm going to create a field boundary. So I'm going to right click on my field name and go down and select Edit Boundaries. So up in the toolbar, I'm going to select the Include Polygon tool. This will allow me just to draw lines around the outside of the field. So I'll start in one corner, and I'll click, and I'll drag all the way down to the next corner, and I'll continue to do so until I've completed my boundary. So the next corner, so I'll click there, And this is important so then it keeps your map just within those boundaries. You don't get all that little extra stuff that wasn't included in this field. So once we're done, I'll click on that corner and then I'll right click and I'll select Finish. So there you can see I have created a boundary. So now I will go and select Save and Close. So now I'm going to go back to the transparency bar and I'm going to increase it so I can see that layer again. So as you can see, this one doesn't stay within the boundaries, but the next one we will create does. So I need to right click on Test Lidar and then I'm going to select Create Topographic Layer. So once you select that, you'll have to click OK on this, and then underneath Test Lidar, there appears the topographic option. So what I'm going to do is I'll double click on that, and now it has to build the surface. This can take a while sometimes depending on the file size, but because we thinned our data, ours shouldn't take too long. So once that gets done, you will be able to see that the map changes. So there is your topography data. So now we'll go down and select the elevation. You can see base data is still highlighted. So what we want to do is double click on the topography option. This will fill in the map better and make it more precise. So as you can see, there's still some of that extra stuff along the edge from our beginning layer with the test LiDAR. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go select that in the displayed layers window and get rid of that by pressing that arrow right there. So now that that's gone, there is your topography map. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to that transparency bar. So that kind of fades it in and out, so now you can still see your field behind it, but you can also see your topography data. Another thing that you can do is you can create contour lines on this map. So what you'll do is you'll go up to the toolbar and select Display Options. Now you can see there are a few different things you can do in this menu. There's tributary lines, flow arrows, and contour lines. So for this example, I'm going to put in contour lines and contour labels. Next, I'm going to decide what kind of labels I want. So I'm going to do these at 5 foot, so I'll mark minor at 1 and major at 5. I'm also going to select the flow arrows option. Then I'll select OK, and there you can see your contour lines and arrows appear. Now you can go down to the transparency bar and you can fade the background color in and out. If you drag it all the way to the left, you will get rid of the color and you will leave only the lines in the labels. You can also go back into the Display Options menu, and here you can actually change what the labels are. So if I go down and select Default Font, you can change the font style, the font size, the color. You can even change the orientation of the labels if you'd like, all depending on what you want. I'm just going to leave them as the same for now. I'll exit out of that. The last thing I'm going to show you how to do is to create a benchmark so you can take this out to the field and align your LiDAR data with the real world. So first, I'm going to bring the transparency all the way back to normal. The next thing I'm going to do is go back into the display options, and I'm going to uncheck flow arrows, contour lines, and contour labels. Now that my map is back to its original, I'm going to select base data so I get those dots back on the field. I'm going to go back into display options. And I'm going to change the point size from 30 feet to 10 feet. This is going to shrink all those dots that are out on the field right now. The next thing we are going to do is we're going to zoom in by the driveway because that's where I would like to place my benchmark. So I'll click and I'll scroll in, and now you can see I can select the dots in that area. The next thing I need to do is I need to go and select the Edit Layer tool. That way, when I right-click on the dot, I am able to actually change it to a benchmark. So I'll right-click, go to Properties, and where it says benchmark, I'll check that box, and now I can go over and change it from no to yes. The dot is now recognized as a benchmark by the black cross in the center. So I'll go and select Save and Close, and now I'm going to zoom to the extent of the field by selecting the Zoom Layer tool. So now that I can see the entire field, I'm going to go to the toolbar and select the Show Me tool, which looks like the binoculars in the toolbar. Then I am going to select Benchmark. When I click OK, it will allow only the benchmarks to be seen and not all the other dots. So up by the driveway, you can see there's kind of a tiny speck right there, but I'm going to go back into Display Options and change the point size from 10 feet to 30 feet. Now the benchmark is much more visible. To go back to the way things were, I'm going to select the Show Me menu and unselect Benchmark. Now you are done learning how to download, thin, and import LiDAR data.